Welcome to Growing Pains and Gains, the podcast where five lifelong friends navigating life across three states, Nebraska, Kansas, and Texas, share their real, raw, and often hilarious takes on everything under the sun. Join us as we embrace the growing pains and celebrate the gains that comes with life's journey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, guys. I'm Alex.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Catherine, and today we hate to disappoint you, but we are missing Maria and Audra. So one of them called out sick, and one of them no call, no showed. Totally joking. Maria was been very, very, very sick this week. She's had an extremely rough time. She's kind of on the mend, feeling better, but just very low energy.
She caught Derek's man cold.
Yeah. The man cold was a lot more than a man cold after all. We were hoping Derek could join us today to fill in.
We have to apologize for Derek and saying he had a man
Sorry,
cold
Derek.
because now karma got Maria and it took her down.
Yes. So,
Down bad.
and Audra, she's the no call, no show, but actually, no, today was her birthday brunch and she was having so much fun. Their plans got extended. We told her, just go have fun, celebrate your birthday. We got it. So it's just the three of us, but we promise it'll be fun and interesting, and it'll be back to the five of us next week.
Yes.
So this week, we are in honor of Valentine's Day. We are going to be discussing love languages. So the five love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Alex, what do you know about love languages?
So, the five love languages are different ways of expressing and receiving love. And so, when Catherine mentioned the five different love languages, it can be very different between you and your significant other. So just because your love language might be acts of service or receiving gifts, if your partner's love language is something different, then you need to be mindful of that. Because if you were to give them a gift and their love language is, quality time, they may not see it as endearing as you do because they just want to spend time with you. They don't need a gift. So it's super helpful to know what the five love languages are. And then I'm going to give just a couple examples in case anyone isn't that familiar with love languages. And by the way, the love language concept comes from Dr. Gary Chapman. And he wrote a book, The Five Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts. And so that's where we got this information from. And I actually learned about this in grad school. I think I talked about it in our intro episode, but I got my master's in marriage and family therapy. And so I learned about the love languages in grad school. I thought it was super interesting. And I made my now husband take the quiz with me when we first started dating. He probably thought I was a crazy freak, but it's helpful. So I think it's good that everyone knows what they are. Okay. So just to give you a couple examples. So quality time. If your love language is quality time or your significant other's love language is quality time, a way to communicate that would be uninterrupted and focused conversations. One-on-one time is critical for people who like to give or receive love with quality time. And then actions to take if your love language is quality time would be creating special moments together, taking walks, doing small things with your significant other, weekend getaways, just uninterrupted time with the two of you. And then it even says things to avoid. So things that you should not do if your significant other's love language is quality time. It would be distractions while you're spending time together. So if you're just on your phone the whole time that you're on a date or hanging out, having quality time, that's going to be probably triggering to your significant other because they want to spend time with you. They don't want you on your phone, scrolling TikTok, whatever the case may be. So that's a little bit more about the love languages. Chelsea, do you know what yours are?
Well, I was just thinking when you were talking about that, I remember one time Lucas was out in the field, which if you don't know about the military, he was gone for a weekend. And it was when Campbell was, I want to say she was probably 5 months old. She was really little. So I was home with all three kids and I was reading the book. And as I was reading it, what is quality time? The third love language or something? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, quality
time. Anyways, I was reading it and I got to that and I was like, oh, that's it. I'm done reading this. I know exactly what mine is, but it's not. now that I mean, maybe it was at the time because I was like, I felt so lonely and like I was taking
Yeah.
care of all the kids at home by myself. But I think my love language now is definitely acts of service. As you know, a busy mom needing help around the house and just little things like when Lucas started working from home, he started doing washing the sheets every Thursday because that was the last
Ooh.
Thursday was the last day that I worked. So he would wash the sheets on those days
Nice.
so that I'd have clean sheets for my to start my weekend out.
Oh,
So
that's
nice. I love
nice.
it. Yeah. What about you?
Do you want me to go or Catherine?
So
Or Catherine, whoever.
mine, so okay, interesting. Mine is not okay, not interesting. It's quality time. But what's interesting to me about that is that it was quality time years ago when Gary and I like Alex, did the same thing, like made him take it. And he was probably like, what is this? But anyway, he answered all the questions and mine was quality time back then. So when we were talking about it recently and Alex mentioned how hers had changed, I was like, oh yeah, I'll bet mine, acts of service, that makes sense. But Gary and I took the test again last night. And when I was reading through all the questions, I was like, you know what? Like, would you rather have him, do the laundry or take a walk with you? It's like, take a walk. And I kept answering more and more questions. And I already knew by the end of the quiz what mine was going to be. And it is still quality time. And I think it's because I'm just on the go so much, just go, go, go. And I've got this problem where I'd rather just do everything myself to make sure that it gets done. Like acts of
Yeah.
service isn't really as big of a deal for me as I thought it was.
You don't give him the time to do the acts of service for you.
No, exactly. Kind of like we talked about last week,
Yeah.
I can't relax till everything's done. He wants to relax first. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's quality time. And one of the questions, so his is actually quality time too, which was surprising because he thought his, and I think it was previously before we had kids, his was actually acts of service and now it's quality time.
Nice.
Um, but like one of the questions was, would you rather just sit in silence with your partner for 30 minutes, or get a gift on Christmas, something like that.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking it in those types of terms, the quality time really is important. And especially since we do have two little ones, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and we take them everywhere with us. I mean, if we're going, they're going. And so maybe since we don't have that quality time as much anymore, it's became more important.
Yeah.
However, I will say I don't think that will change. We're still going to keep taking them everywhere with us because my babies are my love language.
Oh,
And he's the same way. And this is just so everybody knows, this is not like a one-sided thing. We always joke that we're helicopter parents because we both feel the same way. Like they're not going anywhere and we're not going anywhere without them. Like they go to school during the day, but other than that, they're right up under us. And that's the way we like it.
No, I love it. Well, for us, so like I said, they did change, but when we took the quiz, so when you take the quiz, you can have like parts of all of them kind
Yeah.
of sprinkled throughout, but it just says like the percentage or like what's more dominant. And so both times that we took it, we had two that were like pretty neck and neck of like our top ones. And so when we first started dating, they were quality time and physical touch. And now it's quality time and acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
And the physical touch when we first started dating was because we were long distance. So we only saw each other on weekends and he worked at a golf course at the time. So he had to work several weekends. So there were like several weeks in a row where we wouldn't even see each other. So whenever we would see each other, like we were always holding hands or like, hand on the leg and, stuff like that. Like we were
You
just so
couldn't take
excited.
your hands off each other is what
Oh,
you're trying to
stop.
tell us.
Not in like a
No, we know.
that kind of way.
We
but
know.
Yeah, like we just wanted to like be by each other. And so the funny story that I have about that is so when we were still first newly dating, we've been dating for like 6 months, I think, and it was right before we moved in together. We went to Minnesota to visit Jordan's, my husband's sister. She had just had a baby. And the guest room that we were staying in had 2 twin beds. And because we just could not be apart from each other, we squeezed into one twin bed to sleep instead of us each having our own bed because we just wanted to be by each other. And I remember his sister and his whole family like made fun of us forever. Like they were like, "Are you kidding me? Like you cannot even like sleep on this bed." And we were like, "We just want to be by each other." And so we had to squeeze into that bed. And now, do you think I would choose to squeeze into that bed? Absolutely not.
No, you'd be
You're like
so
a twin
pissed.
is too small.
Yeah.
I mean, not a twin. A queen size is too small.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was just kind of like an example of like, we just really wanted to be by each other because we didn't get to see each other that often. And obviously, quality time was important too, which now, fast forward, what is it, 13 years that we've been together. Quality time is still equally important, but we see each other every day. So it looks a little bit different now. And for us, the quality time now would be more just like uninterrupted time without the kids, being able to, go on, whether it's a day date or a dinner date or, things like that. And then the acts of service. Oh my gosh, acts of service is probably by far my number one love language right now. And it's more so for me is just that like my mental load is just always like on overload. Like between work and the kids' activities and all the kids' school stuff and everything that we need to get done, I'm just like constantly feeling like I can't do everything. And he is really good about just picking up where I need him to. And even just like the little things, like before we go to bed every night, he always gets me a glass of water. And when I'm working out on the weekends and I'm upstairs getting dressed, when I come downstairs, he's like filled up my water bottle for me to take so that because I'm always running late.
Nice.
I know. So
That is really nice. You
just
should
like
feel
little
bad.
things take-
You should feel bad about saying he was huffing and puffing now.
He was though. But yeah, I mean, just like things like that, or like he does some more of the house chores a little bit, just because by the time I'm done with work, I'm just like mentally exhausted, and so he does more of those things, and he doesn't complain. I don't have to ask him, and those things I just appreciate so much. So definitely, acts of service is huge for me now. Catherine, what were you gonna say?
I was just thinking about when you were talking about physical touch, because that used to be a really big one for me, and it still is. And when there were some questions like if your partner takes your hand out in public. And that's one thing, like when we're out, Gary always takes my hand. He makes sure the kids are in line. We have the kids close, and then he always takes my hand. And I love that. But I think one of the reasons it's not like, at the forefront like it used to be, because it used to be like right behind quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And is because I have a 1-year-old and 3-year-old, and they always want to be all on top of me all the time. They're very handsy. So I'm getting physical touch, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I love it. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But when, on the weekends, I'm getting physical touch all day long. And then it's like when they go to sleep, I'm like, okay, I just need a few minutes, just to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's still important, but I think that's just why it's not at the front where it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Chelsea,
I was taking that quiz. No, I was just taking that quiz earlier today. I was looking at it, and one of the questions was, would you rather have your partner draw you a bath after a long day? I'm like, that would never happen. Maybe Jordan would draw you a bath.
I say Jordan would. Jordan totally would. But only if I asked him to. Probably don't think he would just do that. Like,
I guess I could ask Lucas to draw me a bath, but I guess I don't want my bath drawn for me.
Yeah, I know. I would be like, what? Like, I can turn on my own bath water.
I mean, Lucas would if I asked him to, but I wouldn't ever think to ask somebody.
That's too one of the biggest parts of acts of service is them doing things without you asking. You know what I mean? So I think it's just like, instead of just, saying like, hey, can I help you with anything? Looking and being like, okay, she's overwhelmed. I'm going to go do this load of laundry and draw her the bath because I know she's tired. But and those are nice. Those are things I would like, but I don't know. I think I'm just too, it's like you said, I'm just go. I want to just handle everything and get it done. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather him set aside the time to take the walk with me. You know what I mean? Like those are the things that are important to me.
And if you're like love language acts of service, then you do stuff like that. Like I'll always put Lucas a towel in the towel warmer for him before he takes a shower and stuff like that. Or like get his coffee in the morning. He gets my coffee too sometimes, or a lot. But just things like that. When your love language is like acts of service, then you're going to go out of your way to do stuff like that, whereas they may not think anything of it. So like if you're words of affirmation, then you may then you could give them all compliments, and then they just don't think anything of it. Whereas you're trying to be really loving, but it doesn't mean. Can you? Yeah, you can't hear me.
It's kind of breaking up a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
So one other thing that I was thinking about when just thinking about the love languages is for me, like the buying gifts, that would for sure my last. Like I could care less if you bring me home something, or if you buy me a big gift. That's just not something that's important to me. And when we were talking about it before Gary took the test, he was saying that that was one that was kind of important to him. And I'm like, really? Well, I'm totally missing it because I don't bring you gifts. And he
Right.
was like, no, but you do. He was like, I never have to ask for anything. Like if I'm out of something, which I guess kind of goes with acts of service, he was like, you've already ordered me more before I can even tell you that I'm running low or running out. And he was
Yeah.
like, or like one time I went to brunch with my girlfriends and we were by his favorite cookie store. So I came home with a box of cookies for him. And he was like, it's the little things like
For
that.
him.
I mean, he had like one. I had the rest of the dozen, but but so buying gifts, I guess, looks at like kind of in different things in different ways.
Yeah.
When he put it in those terms, I was like, okay, I see. It's kind of more the like one of the thought that counts type of things
Yeah,
versus
that's
like
right.
buying me a Rolex or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was thinking too, can you guys hear me okay? Or am I
Yeah.
freezing
We
still?
can hear you now. Mhm.
I was asking the girls before we started, can you have two different love languages, like for your kids and and Catherine goes, come again? I'm like, well, I'm like really affectionate with my kids. So
no,
like
it's because hold on, it's because you said kids and pets, and that's what
Right.
made me said come again. Not the kids part; it was definitely the pets. And then I was like,
Left that
okay.
part out, Chelsea.
I was like, I'm just joking. I understand what you're saying. But also, let me say this, and then Chelsea, I'll let you go ahead. Chelsea's dog and pets like are part of the family. For me, I only had one pet as an adult that I loved, and someone murdered her and shot her with a gun. And I'm not, yeah. So I can't relate, and I don't like, yeah. And yes, I'm serious, and I'm still rather devastated about that, because I absolutely loved her. And it was a stranger, by the way. I should add that in. It was not somebody we knew that murdered my cat, but it was once we moved out to the suburbs, and kind of live in a little bit farther out anyway. So when Chelsea said that, I'm like, love languages for pets. But I have to remember that a lot of people, their pets are like their kids. And there are some people that don't have kids and their pets are their kids, So that was a good point.
Yeah. So the reason why I said that is because I remember when I was like in grade school, I used to ride horses and my mom had a horse and I would take lessons on him. And then I started taking lessons on another horse that I actually loved. Like he was the best thing ever. And so I would always like pet him and like tell him good job and everything. And I just remember the guy that was giving me lessons saying, you really like him a lot more. I could tell because I was a lot more affectionate with him. And Alex was laughing. I know it's silly, but I've always thought of that and then when I got Bernie, he was my baby. He was a little schnauzer. He was the sweetest thing ever. And I was always in his face, always like cuddling him. And same with Autumn. If she's laying on the ground, I just have to get down there and snuggle her.
And I also said Chelsea said that like physical touch is her love language for her kids and her dogs. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure your dog's not going to be buying you any gifts or
I know.
acts of service.
So funny.
She was like, I mean my love language for them, not their love language for me.
You could buy them treats. That could be your love language.
I always think about it's my love language necessarily, or like more my love language for other people is how, like, because my kids are like, I just remember always hugging my mom and always needing a hug. And I love to like give hugs and I love my kids on my lap and I do like to hold hands and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe it is physical touch. I don't know. But
well, it could be like your number
dog.
2, or it could just be, up there because there can be parts of all of them that you resonate with. It's just usually there's like 1 or 2 that are a little bit stronger, but yeah, maybe physical touch up there for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking with the gift giving when you were talking about that, Catherine, that like, I'm definitely the same way of like, if he were to just like randomly bring home a gift, like, I mean, I'm sure that would be nice, but it would still be like acts of service.
How much money did you spend?
But yeah, I would probably ask how much money did you spend? But I was going to say like he is really good at giving gifts in general. And it's more about like the thought that he put into it versus like the actual gift. And like he says that he will like make a note on his phone throughout the year when I'm like talking about different things that like I want or wish I could have or whatever. he'll like make a note and then like get it for me for Christmas or my birthday, that like I'm not saying these things for him to go buy them. I'll just be like talking about like, I think one time it was like Maria or Andrea was talking about something that they got. I think it was maybe the Dyson hair dryer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would never get that. It's so expensive. And then he got it for me for Christmas.
Oh.
But he said he got a good deal on it. But just like things like that, that like I don't ever say these things like thinking he'll go get it, but he actually listens and like takes note and will go and
That's
get
really
it. And then
thoughtful.
it feels good knowing that like he's listening and putting a lot of thought into it. So anyway, okay, let's talk about Valentine's Day plans. Are you guys
Well,
doing anything?
I'm just wondering for Valentine's Day, are you and Jordan going to be sleeping in another twinner?
No, absolutely never again. For on the actual day of Valentine's Day, Anderson or my son is out of school. And I think we are going to keep Foster, our daughter, home too. Both Jordan and I took the day off because of parent teacher conferences. Anderson is out of school half day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Right.
Not in
Wow.
school.
And it's supposed to snow, so you guys.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No, so we'll probably be out even more days. I don't want to talk about it. But and school might be canceled Wednesday if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. So
Oh yeah, the parade.
I know.
So school will be canceled on Wednesday. We're going to speak that into existence.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, on actual Valentine's Day, I think we're all going to be together. But a while ago, we got out a fondue thing that we got. We actually got it for our wedding in 2014, and it was still in the box. It was on our registry, but we never used it. And we finally got it out last year and made our own little spread. We had like all these different fruit, and we did like pound cake, we did brownies, we did marshmallows, we did like so much stuff, and just chocolate fondue, and the kids absolutely loved it. And so not that long ago, Anderson asked if we could do that again. He's like, can we do that like chocolate bowl thing? And so we're going to just do that at home for Valentine's Day on the actual day. And then the next weekend for Christmas, Jordan got us tickets to go to Beetlejuice, the Broadway. Is it a play? Is that what it is? Or
It's a
musical?
musical.
Chelsea?
It's going to be so good. Yes.
Okay,
So
so
good.
Chelsea's been. So we're gonna do that, and then at my work Christmas party in December, I won a raffle for a free hotel night stay in downtown Kansas City. So we're using that.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're using that, and we're just gonna have a little date night. Kids are gonna go with grandparents, so we're looking forward to that. So we got some fun stuff planned. What about you, Chelsea?
oh yeah, we don't have any plans.
I know. I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, after Alex said all her plans, I'm like, we got to figure something out. So what are you
Yeah.
thinking, Chelsea?
No, I just usually do something little for like the kids in the morning, get them something. And ever since having kids, Valentine's Day is so much more fun, to
Mm-hmm.
get them stuff and they like it. And then this year their class actually has a Valentine's Day party. And so I'm excited for them for that. And Alex, we were talking this weekend about Valentine's Day boxes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We'll talk. Well, Catherine, did you say are you going to talk about your
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, we really don't have any plans, but I was thinking I was going to ask Gary to go to Central Market and cook a really nice dinner. So he loves to cook, and we don't do that as much anymore as we used to, just because it's like, we'll have like he'll cook sea bass and, some vegetables. And it's just, that was
he's
really more so
fancy.
when it was just the two of us. Yes, fancy. But I was thinking about asking him to do that. And I'm not big on, even if, we did have a babysitter, which only happens like once a year, and we already used ours already for this year for my company party. I hate going to restaurants on Valentine's Day because they're so packed and so crowded, and I'm not about that.
Yeah, no.
I was thinking about just doing the dinner at home, and as far as Valentine's Day boxes, I'll let you ladies share that experience because we don't have that yet.
Get ready for it, girl.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just all about like, that's something I'll pay for. Like I'll order a pre-made box off of Etsy or Amazon before I'm going to create one. But no, they are having a little Valentine's Day party, but they have bags for all the kids, and all we do is just send a little Valentine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds much easier. So, okay, so let's talk about the boxes. So I will say, like growing up, and when I was thinking about this earlier, I was like, you know what? Like, I wonder if like my experience might not even be the same as your guys's because we didn't go to the same elementary school. So maybe you guys were different in Catholic school. But at my elementary school growing up, the Valentine's Day boxes were just a white paper sack that the school provided.
Yeah.
And then
And you decorated it.
them.
Yes, you decorated them in school, and you could do like a little paper mache of like hearts or like pink and red hearts that you would like cut out, color, glue on the bag. Like it was so much fun to make it at school, and you could put your name on it, all of that. And it was not this whole production that it is now. And so
it's a contest for the parents.
Yes, I know. It is a contest for the parents. That's at least how I feel. And to be fair, maybe I'm just saying that because I don't have a crafty
right.
and
Me
neither
too.
does my husband. And so we cannot help. We cannot help make these boxes. So now what they have to do, anyone that's not familiar, is at least any school that I know of, it's an actual box that you make. You have to use like a shoebox or even bigger, or I don't know, like these giant boxes people make now, and you decorate it to whatever it is that you want. But most of the time I feel like it looks like the parents just constructed this giant box, and then the kids slap their name on it and say that it's theirs. And to me, that is not the point. But I have seen arguments of people saying like, oh, well, it's a bonding time with your kids, which that's great. Like, I get that. But then at least let the kid make it and you're just there like helping them. But when the parent is the one making the whole thing, I feel like that takes away from what it's supposed to be. It makes other kids feel bad if their box isn't as good.
Right. But I will say, because my kids, I have no crafty bone in my body either. And my kids, I don't like get on Pinterest and look up. This year I might. I have a couple days to do it. But they would decorate their boxes. They would put construction paper, write their names, put some hearts, and they were so proud of them.
As they should be.
I remember like sending you guys pictures and like, feeling sorry for them. And Maria's like, no, it's that's what it's about. But
right.
I felt kind of bad, but my kids were so proud of them. So I don't know. I was super.
Well, I was going to say, I hope that continues, like as they get older, and not be like competitive. Like I hope that both our kids like continue to just be proud of the boxes that they make and not feel like, oh, I wish that mom and dad could help me make a better box.
Did he make like a fake? Because I remember my nephew would make like really fancy ones.
Oh no, it's not super fancy.
Amy would make really fancy ones for my nephew.
Yeah, no, we used it was actually a PlayStation box, and he cut out the inside, and it's supposed to be like a football field, and he did a really good job. Like he's actually really crafty. He's good at coloring. He is way more creative than we are, and we always tell him like, I don't know where you got this from because we do not. And both like me and Jordan, our handwriting is awful. I can't cut a straight line to save my life. I mean, just like all around cannot help with this box. And he did a really good job. It's a football field. He cut out like the NFL logo. He has the Chiefs on there, and then he even drew and cut out like individual football players and got them to like stand up inside. He did it all by himself, and he's super proud of it, and it looks really good. So I just hope that he still feels that way once he gets to school, and who knows what every other box is like.
I'm sure he will.
Alex, you're going to have to take a picture for us and we'll post it to our Instagram page so everybody can see.
I can do that. It's really cute. He did good. But another thing really quick that I was just going to say about that is when we were growing up, I remember like picking out specific Valentines that I wanted to give to people. Like the Valentine would say a certain quote or whatever, whether it's like, you're my best friend, I don't know, or like, I have a crush on you, something like that. And I would assign it to the person I wanted to give it to, and we could go give it to them. Well, now it's, I guess, like too chaotic to do that. And so you can't write any kid's name that you want to give it to. You just you don't use the to, you just use the from on the gift or on Valentine. And so I feel like that's not nearly as fun. And they don't even hand them out. Like the teacher has them all and they just go put them in the boxes, or at least at our school. And I remember in elementary.
See, that's what I would totally be doing if I was a teacher. But this year,
I get it, but it's still sad.
This year they said that it's more personal if you write the to and from. I'm like, oh, but they already did it. Luckily, they can write their name and other kids' names now. But it is fun for them. And I just remember how fun the Valentine's parties were and everything.
They were so fun. I just feel like they're so different now. But it may be part of it too is that we live in a city versus a small town. So part of it too. But Anyway, okay. So now we're going to talk about our pains and gains. And so my pain for the week is that, you know what? I didn't think about what my pain was. I know. You can
Okay,
only
well, I
thought about
go.
my game. Oh, well, let me think about it. Okay, Chelsea, you go first and come back to me.
Okay. Well, I've had a pretty good week, so it was really hard for me to come up with something. But my hand is a literal pain. My right hand has been so achy lately, and I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm a dental hygienist, so that's
Probably it.
kind of scary. I don't want my hand to give out on me, but it's like I don't know. But the other day, I woke up and my pointer finger on my right hand is like really achy.
Is it like
And I don't know if I got bit
carpal
by
tunnel?
something or what. So I could have gotten bit by something, but it's just so weird because it's like cold to the touch sometimes. Like if I like touch Lucas's face with it, it's cold,
weird.
but none of my other. It's so weird. I don't know what's going on,
I feel like you
but
need to get
I'll
that
like
checked
it.
I know. I was like, you need to take that pain to the doctor, Chelsea.
out. Right. What the heck?
I don't know. I always think that the doctors aren't going to be able to help. I don't know. Maybe I will.
So what's your
Um,
gains?
my gain for the week is that we went to prom last night.
Oh yeah, tell us
Yes.
about that.
So one of our dear friends, Abby and Courtney, they own a day service for adults with special needs, and they had a Denim and Diamonds prom last night.
And
So
they do this every
we
year, right?
yeah, they have it it's one of their fundraisers that they have. And so we got all dressed up and went to prom and we had lots of fun and we were dancing around and they had a photo booth and we just had us a grand old time.
Your pictures look so good too.
They were so good.
Thank you.
I loved them. Okay, I guess
Catherine,
I
do you
can
want to
think of.
go? Alex, have you had enough time?
I've literally just been sitting here thinking of what my pain can be. But like you said, Chelsea, I actually had a really good week, so I feel like don't have anything like substantial.
You know what?
for-
Hey, I think that's
Okay.
okay. If you don't have a pain for the week, don't make one up. Say you had a really good freaking week.
I was literally just
Alex, this is probably like the first week out of your whole year that you've been able to like
seriously
chill.
right. I mean,
We'll take it.
literally. So it's a very like frivolous pain, but my pain is that I don't understand why Super Bowl Sunday has to be on Sunday because it really should be on Saturday because nobody wants to go to school and work the next day. When
That
you're
is
out.
legit.
I know. So that's my pain. It's just a silly one.
Do you guys like have a late start or anything in Kansas City?
No, I mean, the first year that we won the Super Bowl at work, they had us do a late start because they were so pumped. And then, once you keep winning, they're like, well,
Right.
we can't keep doing this. But no, the school doesn't have a late start or anything like that. It'll be fine, but it's just, it would be better if it was on Saturday. And I don't know why it has to be on Sunday. But anyway, my gain is a good one. So, you girls know, but my doctor wanted me to get some genetic testing done because of some history of cancer in the family. And so my doctor was a little concerned that it might be hereditary and wanted me to get it checked out. So I did this like full panel genetic testing to see if I had any genes that were like a higher risk for causing cancer. And she kind of freaked me out about it. She was like, worried about it, and she was telling me that I need to make sure I have enough life insurance before I get the results back, and like all this stuff just like kind of freaking me out. So I went and got a new life insurance policy to make sure I had enough before the results came back. And she said the results would take like 2 to 3 weeks. And on Tuesday this week, I was actually in the middle of a company-wide presentation at work, and I got a text message that said that my results were in. And so I was like in panic mode of like, okay, well, I want to know what the results are like right now, but like, what if it's bad and I'm about to give a presentation in front of like 200 people, but I couldn't wait. So I clicked the button like while it was over Teams. And so I just like tried to do it on the side on my phone so nobody could see. And I got the results and they were negative. So that was my gain because it meant that they did not find any genes that were like high risk for cancer causing, which they make sure to note that it doesn't mean you won't get cancer because there are lots of other like environmental factors and things like that. But as far as it being hereditary, it was negative. So it was a huge weight off my shoulders. I was super excited to get the news. So that was definitely my gain for the week. So
That
Yay.
is a huge gain. And
That's
we were
good.
also
Yes, I'm
happy
so
for you.
glad.
I felt such relief for you.
Yes,
So
thank you.
Yes.
really happy to
Good
get that good news. I also had a really good week, so I don't have a huge pain for the week, but I do have one. So this is going to sound like a gain, but let me get it all out. Yesterday it was 80 degrees in Dallas. Now that is a gain. We left the house to go run some errands, and I had on shorts. Gary had on a short sleeve shirt. The babies, we did have jackets for them, but like they both had on shorts. It dropped down to 45 degrees
Oh my
when the sun
God.
went down. It was so cold. We were like running out of
When the
Best
sun went
Buy
down, yeah.
and like spring. I mean, it's cold today. It's really cold today. It's like, well, okay, 55.
But how cold?
But it's cloudy. I mean, yesterday was 80
yeah.
and it was so miserable. And all we wanted to do was just get everything done and get home. And if we would have been dressed for it, it wouldn't have been bad. But it's the fact that we're running around in like shorts and t-shirts
Right.
thinking, I mean, it was 80 degrees.
That's
So
crazy.
we
What a
still had a
huge
really nice
jump.
outing, but yeah, so that was a pain. Gary and I hate being cold, so we get so miserable, and like all we can do is just like talk about how cold we are when we get cold. So my gain for the week, I had a meeting with both of my kids are now in full-time ABA therapy, and I mentioned before they're both autistic, so they're in full-time ABA therapy Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. It's like a little school for autistic children, and I had a meeting with their BCBA, which is a board-certified behavioral analyst. And I meet with her a few times a month, and she went over their reports with me of what they've been working on. So Cinco, for everyone, my son is Gary the Fifth, so we call him Cinco. But Cinco's been going there almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in April, and Nova just started at the very end of December. So you can't get diagnosed until you're 18 months. She got diagnosed very early because I saw the signs. So we got her diagnosis pretty much right after she turned 18 months. But she just got started, and the BCBA was going over the results with me, and her charts, I mean, they were just like through the roof. Like she'd be like, look, this is where we started. And she just like all of the charts went straight up. Like she met the goals. She's
Aw,
with
in a
more
month? She
for-
did all that?
They're overachievers like their mama.
Yes. And one thing I will say, some people don't know about autism. I didn't know much about it before my kids, before my son came along. And some people, I'll say, think that it's an intellectual disability, and it's not. So some kids with autism have an intellectual disability that's paired with it, but a lot of them don't. And so that's something that, fortunately, my kids do not have that. And Cinco, I mean, his were the same. His charts were just through the roof. And the BCBA told me, she said, and my son is nonverbal, but he started speaking, and he's starting to say a lot of words and say like 2 words together, like "I'm back" is one of his favorites. And she was like talking about Cinco, and she was like, Cinco is smart. She was like, once he starts talking, and if we can break him out of his rigidity a little bit, like his being set in a routine, like wants to do things only this way because that's how they normally do them. She was like, once he starts talking and we can get him out of his rigidity, she was like, there's going to be nothing holding him back. And she said, she was like, he is so far above average, like with his intellectual level.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry if I'm sounding like I'm bragging about my kids right now. I am, and I don't care. It's like, I feel like half the world is already against them just because of their diagnosis. You know what I mean? And I'm going to talk them up and build them up. We do it publicly, privately, like it doesn't matter. I'm going to celebrate my kids. But I felt so much joy after that meeting. And it's stuff Gary and I already know this. Like we see them and see what they can do. But having her say that and show me the charts, like it was just the best feeling. And I was walking around on cloud 9. It was one of those like natural highs. I just felt so happy. So it was.
Yes, that's awesome. We knew that Nova was just going to love it and just kill it when she got into school. So I'm so
doing
happy.
So great. And she started saying a bunch of words. And when I first would drop her off and I'd come pick her up, and she didn't get like super excited to see me, which was Cinco had done the same thing. And now it's like she's starting to really kind of come out of her shell. It's like they're helping her unlock out of her own mind. And she lights up and she starts clapping her hands and smiling all big. And so it's crazy. Gary and I have seen so much improvement in her, and it's only been a month and a half.
That's crazy.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's nice when you
They're
can
both
get
going to be talking your ears off soon.
I know.
Mhm.
I can't wait.
Love it.
So anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Loved it.
Well-
Okay, well, go Chiefs. Catherine's gonna.
Hey, go
Yes.
Chiefs. And just a reminder, Audra and Maria will be back next week. So we're going to get them back in full swing. We'll be ready to go. Go Chiefs. We hope we can come back next week and talk about how the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Yeah. Thank you for joining us for the podcast you didn't know you needed. Now you know. So we hope you'll join us next week on Growing Pans and Games for our pop culture episode. It's going to be so much fun. Bye, everybody.
Bye.